Well, hello, good morning, guys. Been a week since I last did a video. In fact, I'm not going to upload it because unfortunately I was kind of upset when I was doing it. I got pretty upset doing it because I just don't have a lot of time these days. And I was doing the video trying to get, or I was showing how I was wiring these wires, these new wires to the stator, to the old wires, and going through the whole process. And basically I just didn't have time to finish it, and nor did I have the parts that I needed to finish it, and I really wanted to try to finish it that day, so it was kind of just a rush, and it didn't go too well. But I did one coat of this red insulating varnish on this side. I don't think I did the other one. I think I had to go right away. So I got to do that coat down there, and I'll probably do maybe another coat. Um, I had I didn't have trouble getting these wires attached, but it wasn't that easy either. So I'm gonna leave these connections that I did to the stator wires alone. And this is one of the problems I had last time. I was trying to get a cloth wrapping around it, and I ended up, mutilating two radio projects I had just because I was trying to get the thing done on time, and the idea didn't work out, and I was just frustrated. And I sawed this straw in half. It's one of my kids' straws, and I sawed it in half. I'm like, oh, even that didn't work. I'm like, oh, buddy. Anyways, sometimes you can't go against fate. You just gotta, you know, take your time. But anyway, so I'm gonna take these wires that I soldered on. I'm gonna cut them, and I got a new cord, which I'll show you in just a minute, from Amazon. In fact, I got a lot of things I wanted to show you that I'm going to take this fan apart before putting it all back together again. And I was able to get this Rio and Dio, I don't know, 6.5 liter Chinese, of course, ultrasonic cleaner. So we're going to take a look at that. And I actually went to the Ace Hardware just now to get some nylon washers so that I can properly shim this motor to the place it needs to go and not have to depend on the felt, packings that I was having to do before to get the motor shimmed right. So anyways, I'm going to work on that, probably throw everything in the parts washer, get it all nice and clean. But anyways, at Ace Hardware, I was going to go there to get some nylon washers and also some strong detergent, like maybe some Simple Green HD, I guess, is the best they might have, whatever. Anyways, so we can test this out. I don't have, they didn't have it. I had to go to Kroger, and they didn't have any there. So I do have some TSP, I believe, and if I can find some, I'm going to use that to do the parts. And if I can't, then we'll just test it with my sunglasses with some soap and water. Got some grommets for the electrical connections. And this is the lamp cord that I ended up getting. It's just black, but it's got three conductors instead of the two of the normal positive negative of the old lamp cords, because that head wire that connected the switch to the actual motor had three conductors going through it. So this, so far, guys, this came in a box that was opened pretty poorly. Well, it had some cheap styrofoam around it, if you can call it that, but the box itself was opened and then taped in one spot, just one spot, with a fluorescent green tape that said, like, this was inspected by the U.S. Customs official, and then it had a spot for them to leave their name, and they didn't write anything. So who knows where this package came from or what it went through to get here, but I'd say that it's mostly together. This sheet right here talks about how you should always have it at least 2/3 of the height with water. It's written in poorly written English, but I can't in any way be in any way making fun of them, because they sure know a lot more English than I do Chinese. That's for sure. Bless them. Good on them. It comes with a pretty nice soft hose that I think you can connect to the out spout right here, and it's got some plumbing connection to connect it, and a basket. Now this basket actually rests on the bottom of the transducer, and I wouldn't mind perhaps making a like a 3D printed something that would basically keep it up above here, off the bottom, with the parts in the middle of the transducer like that. So I think I might do that. In fact, since I couldn't get the nylon washers, I'm gonna design some 1 millimeter washers and print them. All I have now is PLA, and I have a feeling that being a corn-based plastic, maybe perhaps that's not a good long-term solution, but it'll at least allow us to find the millimeter distance that we need, and we can buy nylon washers at a later date, or brass washers, or whatever we need. So yeah, I'm gonna go and design that, and then while I'm doing that, I'm gonna put some water in here and turn on that heater and see how long it takes to get heated up to temperature. I'm gonna probably do 57 degrees C. So I just turned it on. It actually came in the on position, like the switch was on the on position. It's got a hard, nice clicking switch. It actually seems to be a pretty solid little machine. Nothing leaking so far. It does have this really loud beep when you press these numbers, though. I wanted to show you. And I'm going to put it on 57. Maybe reduce the time to 10. Oh, good. You can hold it. Look. There's 2 on-off, so I don't know what that is. Maybe this is. Probably should read the manual. All right, let me go do that. All right, so I measured it kind of again, and I'm going to settle with 83 millimeters right here for this inner diameter. I'm basically trying to make is something where we can insert the mason jar here and move it to the left, insert another one over here and move it to the right, and put that kind of like a tray into the actual ultrasonic cleaner. That's what I'm working on. Well, it's been about, I guess, 20 minutes maybe or so since I turned this on. I think this is the ultrasonic cleaner side, and that's the temperature setting side. So I just did this one on, and I put it at 57, and so it started at 17, I think. So it 3 degrees in about 20 minutes or so. This is still very lukewarm. Well, not even lukewarm at all. It's cool. I've read very much that this is a totally normal response, that most people actually heat the water up outside and they'll dump hot water in there rather than rely on, it just got one up, rather than rely on that. But my boys just got home, so I'm going to press pause on this project and we'll see you soon. Well, I've been mowing the lawn for about 3 hours, several different lawns, and so it's definitely up to temp now. I thought I had some trisodium phosphate, some sort of nice detergent for these bolts, but I don't have any, so I'm gonna have to go tomorrow and get something. I do have ultrasonic fluid coming, but that's gonna be maybe Wednesday, so I won't be able to use it until then. So I figured we just real quick put some Dawn dish soap in here, my sunglasses, and see how she does. You can see she's pretty warm right now, 57 degrees Celsius. Now I do want to make some sort of I guess what I was trying to say is device to where this basket is not resting on the bottom of the machine. But I think this will do for right now. I heard that you're supposed to degas it. Now, I know it's been degassed. The water has, but maybe with the detergent, perhaps, see the bubbles coming up. I'm going to go ahead and give it about another 10 minutes just to degas it for what I read is the right thing to do. Maybe or so, and then actually I think you actually run it for 10. See how loud this thing is. That's not too bad. High pitch. You wouldn't want to probably like stay in the same room, I guess. Not too bad. Probably come up with some sort of insulation thing around here too. Alright, so I'll come back in about 10 minutes and we'll see what it does to my glasses. Alright, so it's been about 15 minutes. Definitely up to temperature. Should be degassed by now. Still just got soap and water in here. Dish soap. Let's see. Now these glasses, I'll show you, aren't really that dirty. Hold on. But you probably can see that they got, I don't know, at least dust and probably, if you look up closely, you can definitely see grease and, you know, imperfections, I guess. So I'm going to go ahead and assume that they're going to go like this. I'm going to just run it for 3 minutes. I just wish that was a little bit lower. Maybe I can go in there with the resistor and, you know, lower that voltage, that beeper thingy. Again, it's really not that loud. I mean, I actually sit over here for the most part on my lab, and I wouldn't mind sitting in here. I've heard stories that it's just these things, these Chinese ones are just god-awful loud and you got to go to a different part of the house, and I would not say that that's the case. I don't have any proof right now that it's working how it's supposed to, but we'll get that tomorrow when we get some better detergent and start working on Mr. Fan. Alright, so I'll come back in 2:25 and we'll see what we have. Alright, so she just beeped. It really wasn't loud at all. So I'm thinking either my thing's not working right or this is, you know, a pretty nice little machine. Again, Rio-Dio, R-I-O-D-I-O. Probably pretty hot, but let's see. Yikes. Not terrible. Well, certainly is clean. Certainly is clean. Cool. And these are polarized, you know, I wouldn't say like super expensive, but they're at least $150 on a cruise ship. I got them. So they're not cheap. And it doesn't appear to have any damage. And it appears that the heat from the water is just allowing it to evaporate quite readily. So yeah, I'm going to polish these up a little bit with my little rag and say that this first test was a win. By the way, guys, here's the little jig I was going to make. This circle on the right is enough that the jar lid can come up from underneath it and like fit up in here. And then this is going to be cut out. And you can just basically move it this way. And this part over here should be just enough to keep it inside of this little rim right here. So you should be able to just basically put it in here and slide it. And it should keep it vertical. For example, watch, this is going to go away, go away, go away, go away. So basically, it's like a, that kind of thing. And I'm just going to finish this, make sure that it's within my printer's printing range, print it out probably tomorrow, maybe this evening, and use it tomorrow. Just quickly, guys, this is kind of what I'm talking about. So, modify it to make sure it's within the width of the, whatchamacallit, ultrasonic cleaners that I can actually fit on top of the top plate, or figure out how to best design it, and we'll pick it up later. So I've got the 3D printed piece now. I'm starting the video early so you can hear how loud it is. It's not too bad. It is louder now that I put this jar in here. Well, I got the ultrasonic cleaner heating up right now. I got the parts inside of the solvent, and they're just soaking in it right now. And then once it's heated up, then I'll put it on the ultrasonic mode and clean it, I think maybe for, I don't know, 2-3 minutes. We'll check it again. I don't remember what I've said to guys. I know on the last episode I recorded all of this, my wiring, attaching it to the stator. But unfortunately, I was pretty upset, so I'm trying it again now. Anyways, I thought rather than undo the wiring yet again and install the 3-line, the 3-conductor cord on the stator wires, that I would leave my original soldering alone, and then I'll just strip this back a little bit, and then connect these 3 stator wires. These 3 silicon wires in here to the new 3-conductor head wire cord. So I'll go do that and see what happens next. Well, this isn't the neatest job that I'd like to say I've ever done, but I've got the stator wires soldered to the red, green, and white, which is the original colors. Unfortunately, I did have to switch colors because this 3-conductor cord, which it's now soldered to these silicone wires, 3-conductive cord is black, green, and white. So the red, I believe, of the high switch, if I'm not mistaken, or the low, I forget, but we'll figure that out. But the red has now switched to black. The other 2 are the same. The question is which way does this stator go inside of the bell housing, or the housing end, or whatever they call it? It was this side when I first got the fan was out, so this side was towards the front of the motor. But again, remember that the thing didn't start, and I had to do all these weird shims. So I'm wondering maybe if we flip it around to just test it. I don't know if that would make any difference, but it might. We can try it. Anyways, I got the head cord, or whatever you call that, cut. As soon as these parts are done in the parts washer, we'll put everything back together and do the stator end testing or whatever. Right now we're just getting it up to temp. I had to lift this just a little bit because with all the parts, including the rotor I have down there, maybe that's a bad idea or not, I don't know, but everything that is removable from the fan is inside of that jar of solvent. And so it'd be so heavy, so I had to actually lift it up just a little bit to keep it off the bottom of the, well, I have to still play with it because I don't want it to touch the bottom of the, whatchamacallit. But anyways, we're getting there. So guys, I think I'm gonna make some nylon. Well, look, I don't have nylon, but I've got PLA plastic. I don't know if it's the best, but anyways, these washers are just a little bit too on the outer diameter, too big. So yes, they fit on the inner diameter through the shaft. However, the washer themselves is too big, and you can see that when the motor was running, basically it's starting to wear against this cap that holds the felt bearing and the bronze bearing stuff in place. So I don't want to bore you guys, but can you imagine, I'd like to ask the question is, can you imagine if they had these tools back in the 1930s? Because it's just actually pretty incredible what you can do. You go to sketch, create sketch, then choose a plane, and then here I can show you just a C for circle, and we'll put it for 10 diameter, 10 mils, well, not 110, right there. O for offset. Actually, you don't even have to do that, watch, because I want the other diameter, C for circle, to be 16 millimeters. 16. So basically right there, that should fit. Let me zoom in for you. And then you go for E for extrude. Height, get the one that you want to extrude, which is that one. I want it to be a 1 mil, 1 mil. And there's your washer. I'm gonna print this. Actually, I'm gonna print like 10 of them. And yeah, man, how cool is that? If they had that in the 1930s, imagine the tech that we'd have today. Just imagine if those geniuses back then had this stuff. Well, guys, I can't think of a more dangerous situation than to deal with warm solvents, water spilling, and a Chinese ultrasonic cleaner. But that's where the fun comes in about these restoration and repairs. So I just put in some hot water. It looks like it's going to get up to close to temperature now. I washed this jar last night. This is the pasta we had last night. Very good, by the way, pasta sauce. I'm going to see if I can't put these parts into this jar, and maybe instead of using this 3D printed thing that we just did, come up with some other way that we can suspend the jar into there, because this has got a bit wider than this one, and I think that the parts will fit a little bit easier. So that's what I'll do. Well, I had to abandon that idea because the rotor wouldn't fit into this diameter right here. So back in the jar it was, screwed it nice and tight, there's no leak. It's totally sealed, and it should be off. Yeah, it's off of the whatchamacallit. I added the water, so everything is pretty much covered. It should be good. Let's just try it. 5 minutes, go. I have the unhappy sensation of feeling that I just created a bomb. I'm trying to stay away, not only because it's like a bomb, but the ultrasonic messes with the microphone of my camera, like zzz, so you can't hear me talk. Anyways, 3 more minutes. We'll see if we can keep it lasting until then. All right, so it just stopped. I'm sure my wife wouldn't mind that I go and use the colander upstairs to rinse and strain these parts. So I think that's what I'll do. Got the 3D printed things going right now, or the washers. So I think we're in good shape. Show you what the parts look like in just a sec. Sorry guys, hold on. Believe me when I tell you. Try to save as much of this as I can. Maybe find some way to filter it, you know. Pretty good, man. Pretty good. Really nice and clean. Believe when I tell you. Alexa, play "Oh Darlin'" from Anthology 3 by the Beatles.
Oh, Darlin', Anthology 3 version by the Beatles on Amazon Music.
So that did something, didn't it? I noticed that the parts were clean but not polished. I do have some brass polish coming in the mail, and I got this going at a much more reasonable temperature, and I'm just going to leave it in there for a little while. So the parts came out pretty good, guys. The rotor's here. Everything was very clean. I noticed that there's still rust on these steel washers, so I'm gonna have to get some evapor rust or something to take the rust off, or maybe even just a wire wheel perhaps. Also, the brass is clean, it appears, but it's still tarnished. So what I'll do is polish that up when my brass polisher comes. This looks like a steel part as well. So basically, just clean everything up. I don't want to get it too clean because the gentleman who this fan is for, he says he just doesn't want it to be. He wants it to be like looking how it looks right here. Flaking paint and all that. He doesn't want to touch that. This I figured out is why my oscillator doesn't work. Remember I was trying to turn this with a screw? Well, yes, they're supposed to turn, but what happens is this is two pieces right here. It's got this piece, and I believe it's this piece above, and they meet, I believe, right here. But there is no separating them, even after the ultrasonic. So I'm afraid what I'm gonna have to do is really protect it quite a bit, and get in there with some vice grips, and maybe put it in the vise or something like that. And when I can get that free, maybe even run it through an ultrasonic cleaner again, and grease the heck out of it so it's not going to be bound up again like this. So I was able to loosen it. So we'll get a first-hand look together. It was actually just like I was thinking, separated at that point. It looks just like dirty oil. I don't think I hurt the. Oh look, here's another one. Check this out. All right, so the lip. Oh crikey, there's a washer on there. That wasn't a lip. I'm sorry, it wasn't a lip. It was a washer. It looks like it's got a key, and there's no key. And yes, there is a key to this washer. Isn't that amazing? Yes, there is a key to this washer. It's like, oh, you can't see it, but man, it's flat on one side. Amazing, right there. Fits in just like that. All right, so I'm gonna throw this in the parts washer. This is, well, I think this is all one piece, and I'm guessing it just screws in until it locks into place, and then this gear, gets locked, and then when you don't want to have it turn, the gear spins. Anyways, let's see what we can do to get it fixed. So I didn't even bother with the parts washer. I just basically sprayed them with some that gum out, brake clean, whatever. It's probably all the very similar stuff, and they came out just perfect. So I'm gonna put them back together like they were, and I got to thinking about the right kind of lubricant. Now there wasn't grease in here; it's just dirty oil. So I'm guessing that perhaps grease would not be the proper lubricant. Maybe perhaps say some of this motor oil or whatever, for example. 3-in-1, something like that. And yeah, I'm gonna put it back together. I applied ever the smallest bit of red grease, tacky grease coating on the underside of this gear, right here with my fingers pointing. This is where, when you unscrew it, it allows the gear to just spin freely. I also put a drop or two of oil down in the shaft and screwed everything back together. And now what happens when you turn it and get it tight, it provides friction to this gear, and then the whole thing rotates. And when you want to un-oscillate it, you turn it like you're opening a screw left hand anti-clockwise, and then it'll let the gear, move without turning anything. So tight oscillation, right hand turn, left hand loosey is what I'm guessing is happening like that. Here's the steel washers now cleaned up on a wire wheel. I'm not still sure about the brass. I think I'm gonna just try the brasso first. It looks like it's crud, honestly, but it's hard to tell. Honestly, I'm not really sure. Like, it's just like a tarnish almost. And I think that the brasso is gonna help with that. But I'm gonna wait till I think it's gonna come soon. If it doesn't come soon, we'll have a backup plan because I'm trying to get this thing done by Wednesday. Of course, go through all of this and polish this up. Looks like a pretty nice bolt. It has copper, so I'm wondering if it's copper plated because it does stick to metal. I'm sorry, to a magnet. So I think it's an iron bolt, but for some reason it looks like it's like a copper plated kind of thing. So I don't want to scrape the heck out of it. Maybe I'll just go in there with some Tarnex or something like that. See what we can get. Well, guys, the Tarnex did make the copper look better, but only the copper that was already exposed. It's not helping with this darkened area. So I'm gonna try some 600 grit wet dry, and then maybe go over it with some 1500 grit. See if that doesn't improve. And if it doesn't, then that's fine. It's not going to be really visible anyways, but see if I can't get it looking better. Guys, I think that's probably as good as we're going to get it. I put the varnish, the Tarnex on. I actually got this finished by scraping it first with 600 and then just very lightly with the 1500. And I say that because if you remember, this was completely dark, almost the color of this right here, this base. And I actually started to get copper, but I had to scrub harder. And I can see, at least on the edge, I believe, the steel coming through. So I just decided to just leave it as it is. And just, I forgot about this. We'll probably polish this one up in the same manner, but be very careful as far as taking too much off. Well, here's how the nut turned out, or the wing nut. Basically, I thought it was going to be copper like this, like it's mating bolt, but it wasn't. It was just steel. So I just put it on the wire wheel, and then just kind of finished it off a little bit. Like I said, he's not wanting to have a real full external restoration, so I think I'm gonna just, I don't know, maybe spray it with acrylic, maybe some WD-40. I think that WD-40 makes a corrosion product as well. Probably hit these brass things with some light sandpaper as well, or the fine sandpaper, and then get them ready to be polished as well. So we're getting there. Well, I put the pieces on a wire wheel in a vise, and I think it's hard to argue with the results. I didn't do so much on the threading on here because it feels like it's aluminum and very, very, very thin. I know one of them was already screwing, like, not tightening, so I just left these ones pretty much alone, the studs. But I did do the brass. If you guys can see that okay, it's hard for me to see what you guys are focused on. And that looks great. I think maybe a little bit of a 1500 sandpaper, or maybe 600, then 1500, whatever, and then some brass will be done. This was steel as well, so I just spun all the corrosion and stuff off of that. So we're well on our way. Get everything reassembled pretty soon. My plan with this, guys, this is the oil end cap. I've taken all the felt washers and stuff. I put it basically back to where it was stock. This one was pressed in, like you guys know, by a hammer or a punch, and it sealed the end of these caps. But there was this red paint, which I upon learning more, I believe was an anti-leak, like I don't know, some sort of paint that caused the oil, prevented the oil from leaking out of the bearing. What I think I'm going to do is just have the slightest edge of RTV on this mating surface right here, just the slightest edge, not to get any inside of the actual bearing, but just on this inner side edge. Tap that back into place, and I think the RTV will hold it in place, and I don't even have to pound it anymore. So that's my plan. Maybe that might be a bit excessive, but just on the edge, see? All right, tap back into place. Clean up a little bit of this RTV right here. Anyways, I got these two caps back into place. No inside felt washers like I had before. So now these bearings are free to move. Again, there's the original felt, which was in good condition, all oiled. I'm gonna let these cure while I go pick up my boys, and we are getting along. Well, guys, I'm super excited. Today is hopefully the day that we're gonna fix this fan and get it back and shipped up to Justin tomorrow. I ran into a kind of a quandary because I got some wheel bearing grease at Ace, and I thought it was going to be the red stuff. You couldn't tell because it was sealed. I thought it was going to be the red tacky like this, but this is the only red tacky that I have. This is for the gearbox, by the way. It's the only red tacky I have. It was Harbor Freight or something like that. Well, maybe it was Lucas, but I got this thing probably 2 years ago at least. It's not the best grease, I don't think. being at the age that it is in this container. It's been open for 2 years, probably at least. And it's hard to say which one would be better, but I mean, I don't think that this blue is going to hurt it. It might be ruining my day, but I think between choosing the brand new blue, which is pretty similar in consistency, versus the 2-3 year old red that's been opened, I'm going to go with the brand new blue. So I got some Rust-Oleum. It says stops rust, clear enamel. Really, I got this for the fan cage and the blade. I'm sorry, the badge, which I'll show you in just a second. Because really, he doesn't want a clean, rust-free, proof painted job. He wants just a basically in good condition, mechanically. So I'm going to spray this on the cage, hopefully stopping any kind of rust that's there. But I think it's quite rusted. And then I'm just also going to hit these, fasteners and stuff. So hopefully prevent them from tarnishing. So here's another quandary, guys. So here's the original badge, which I'm hoping to protect. It has no more clear coat on it that I can tell, and it's just the paint. Just the paint basically is on it, and I feel that if we don't do anything, it's just going to be scratched off with time. And so my hope was to, spray it very gently with some of this, not to dissolve it, but just, maybe add a very light coat, wait for it to dry, add another light coat. Not too much at one time is what I'm trying to say. I don't think I'll take it off of that cage. I'll see how it is, but probably not. And anyway, that's my plan, to get this thing Rust-Oleum'd up and cleared up, and we'll be good to go. It's a beautiful day. I want to coat it good, but I don't want to get too much and drip and orange peel or whatever, but it doesn't seem to be doing that. Seems to be a pretty good coat. Yeah, looking good. Well, I should have read the directions, but it says the best to apply one light coat. I know I said I was going to do it, but I was just really kind of enamored by how well it was looking, so I kind of did it a little bit heavy on that first coat. I'm going to let this dry in a couple more minutes, 5 minutes or so, and apply another light coat. And just do several light coats from here on out. I'm super excited about this because I went to Ace, because the reason is I'm afraid that I haven't been as organized as I should have, keeping these fasteners together. Unfortunately, I've lost, I mean, I don't even know if I lost it. It just disappeared. One of these hexagonal nuts. And so I did go to the store and I got a replacement of the exact same size. And I also got, while I was there, some nylon washers that are pretty much in the same form factor as this 3D printed washer, which I'll trust the nylon better. I will also have some fiber washers as well, which I think is what I pulled off of the original motor shaft. So I'm going to figure out, I guess, the right combination of, oh yeah, I got one of these lock washers as well that I lost. So anyways, I'm going to find the right combination of spacers, thrust washers, fiber washers, all that stuff, and basically have this motor housing hopefully good to go and start on the first try, rather than have to stuff these sides with felt, etc., etc. So got some experimentation to go, but we'll get this going soon. So very interesting, guys. This is without any thrust washers. You can see that it's perfectly within the stator. It's hard to see on this thing, man, but perfectly within the stator, no thrust washers. I know that I took some sort of felt off, some sort of paper washer off that was completely shredded. This thrust washer, however, is too big, And what it does is it prevents the motor housing, or the rotor, golly. It prevents the rotor from fully going and touching the bearing. So either I trim this off with some sort of like shear or something like that, or perhaps it's not even necessary. I'm gonna put the back end and see what I can see how much play there is. Well, guys, if you can see, sort of, I'm guessing that might be a healthy amount of play. That was 3 nylon washers in the back, on the back part of the shaft. Isn't it funny that the whole reason why I went to Ace in the first place was because I lost this bolt? This is the new one, by the way. It's hard to tell the difference, but it turned up, you know, right where I was supposed to be, right over here. I'm like, oh my gosh. But it was, I don't know. Funny how you lose things and then you find them right when you don't, you know, need to find them again, I guess. But yeah, we'll put the new one back on. I'm putting these lock washers on. They were 17 cents a piece, and I figured, hey man, I got a few extra, and if we need them on the brass ones as well, that's an easy thing that I can do on the way to Richmond. Right now I gotta put him back on. Oh good, he was giving me problems about threading right here. Good. All right, so I'm gonna tighten everything down, turn it on. Well, I guess I have to rewire the switch first. Turn it on, and then we'll see if the thrust washer combination of the 3 in the back is really what it needs. By the way, this is an original grommet. It is absolutely hard, but I hesitate to, you know, take it out, because boy, is it beautiful. It's not hurting nothing. I don't know, I think I'm gonna leave it because it's absolutely flawless. It's just hard is all. I will replace that one. I did replace this one up here. But yeah, man, I think I'm gonna just leave that if I can. It's just beautiful. This was being naughty, so I put just a dab of silicone grease, because basically this end wasn't cut. It won't fit in with the cloth. Basically, it's just wide enough basically for this inner. I'm sorry, for the inner conductor, but not the cloth. So basically, I'm trying to see if I can't get her to cooperate a little bit, and if not, maybe we'll have to switch her out. But lubricate it a little bit, can't be hurting. All right. Let's see what she does. Like, try to do this with 1 or 2 hands. So I got an idea. It won't go in with this cloth, so I'm gonna cut this inner conductor off, maybe about a 1/2 inch, because this cloth is actually slid back now. Then I'm gonna slide it out, so the outer 1/2 inch of the conductor is gonna be gone. That will leave me with a little bit of room for I can, you know, twist up that cloth, put it through the whatchamacallit, the grommet, and hopefully be able to thread everything through. So I don't like working with this stuff at all. It's like those Chinese finger traps, man. I pulled it back, and then now I couldn't get I couldn't unkink it. Basically, it was like all kinked up here, and oh, it's just so hard. Anyways, got a little bit there. I singed the end of it with the lighter, and to see what we can do to see if we can pull it through. Success. Put a zip tie down there at the end so as to not be able to pull out the cord. Similar to the knot that they used to do on old radios and stuff. I'll be honest, I don't like this idea, but this switch was never, well, I did clean the contacts right here, but nothing on the inside. However, I'm finding it difficult to access these screws holding these wires in. And I'm also seeing some kind of like corrosion crud. So I'm kind of debating if I just want to real quick take apart this switch, because I think you have to take it apart, in order for it to come out. I mean, it's gotta, I can't figure out how to get this top part off. It seems like it's actually connected into the switch part, and so if I pull too hard, it'll break it. And so I don't want to do that. So I know that there's an O-ring washer or a screw in there that's holding everything in place, but again, I don't know how to get this knob off without, I guess, taking the switch apart. So dilemmas. Taking it off, this spring was pressed down. That washer that's down there in the bottom, you can't really see it, but there's a small little washer that's down there. That was on top, and then it was all compressed by this little absolutely tiny cotter pin. I think I can see now I can withdraw the whatchamacallit to clean the switch better. I'm also going to put some product called Glaze It, guys. Glaze It. I'm going to try it on this knob just to get it to shine a bit. But yeah, now that we got the switch apart and hopefully can put it back together, let's clean her out. So this thing right here sat right in the square middle. Oh, there was another piece. Where was it? Oh, it was this piece in here. This thing is, I shouldn't have taken it out, guys. It's completely, it looks like it's going to be a nightmare for me to put back together. But basically, I'm trying to get an idea of what it was here. I think this was on here. That was right there in that position. And then this one in here, then secured by the spring or the cotter pin. I think all I'll do is just get some deoxit in here. It looks like there might be a smallest amount of some sort of like lithium grease or something, like, I don't know if that's like grime or not, on the underside of this thing. I don't know if I should add anything or not. I do have dielectric grease, which I might, I don't know. Think about that one. So switch is out, guys. I'm going to very, very, very gently clean this piece right here. This is actually, I think, got a lot more paint on it than what I've seen online for others. So I'd really rather not try to mess with it too much. Just try to clean it up a bit. As far as the switch, I've just cleaned it up with the oxit. And rather than add some sort of grease that I'm not sure was supposed to go there, I'm going to just put it together without the grease first. And see how the switch works and kind of get an idea. Because if it's working, I'd rather not add some sort of thing that may not need to go there and attract grease and, attract dirt and all that. But I will clean up these parts. Back in the good old days, UND period lab INSP, made in the US of A. So if you're a glutton for punishment, I recommend you take this switch apart. Absolutely. And if you're not, like me, leave it alone. But look, I got it shined up pretty good. I had to take this thing 3, 4, it's probably my 5th time putting this thing back together, because you got to put the O-ring or the, the cinching, whatever that's called, washer. No, that's not a washer, that's a bolt, whatever. You got to put this thing, and then you got to put all 3 of these on the underside of this in the right orientation, and then push down that spring, get that cotter pin in there. Wish me good luck. Well, guys, I'm classic. Don't do this at home, man. I got the switch painfully reinserted, hopefully in the right direction. And then I realized that I forgot to put on the dang conductors. Remember, I was having so much problems getting these dang screws. So I'm going to have to figure out a plan B as far as getting an angled screwdriver or something, because I ain't taking this thing off again. So I had to loosen the switch as much as it'll go. Take that locking nut off. Push the switch as much as it can vertically up this way, up that way. And then I just got in there with this little Craftsman screwdriver and was able to tighten it satisfactorily. Next step to do is be putting the switch back. Hopefully everything's in the right orientation, and of course switched in the right wires, and hook up positive here. See that nick right here and see that nick right there? I got to cover those up with some liquid electrical tape. It took me like 3 or 4 tries just to get through the outer conductor, the outer black, I guess, rubber housing that surrounds these 3 wires. 3 tries with a razor that was very sharp, and finally I was able to get it to where I only broke the outer skin and not the inner conductors. But I'll fix that. So here's the original cord that I bought for this lamp. I thought it was a pretty good color match. Just like a nice brown, basically antique looking cord. I've used it several times on many projects, and I've always really liked it. If it were me, I would leave this plug. Since it's going to be for Justin, I have an old original plug that I'm going to try to repurpose and restore. And since I couldn't use this wire, which only has 2 conductors, for the head cord, I'm going to probably just choose to have the power cord as well of the same material, which is going to be this black. And I'll think it's like 20 feet or something. I won't be using this cord at all, or this plug at all. I'll be using the original one is my plan. And so yeah, that's what I'm gonna do right now is get the cord going, plugged in, make sure we got the wiring correct, and then test to make sure that the spacers are correct. And from there, we're getting closer and closer. So birthday ideas for me, guys, for Christmas would be, man, I've seen some nice helping hands, real ones, not these Chinese ones, like $85 or something. But boy, I bet you they're worth every penny, because these are horrendous to deal with. But I'm putting a fuse in line with the positive. Remember, guys, that the negative was here. Yeah, the negative was switched, and then the positive, which was white or tannish on the original colors, is going to be the positive. I'm going to rethink this before I connect everything, but I'm pretty sure that's the way it was. But anyways, heat shrink right here. I got a 2 amp fuse in here. We'll start with that. Connect the positive here, and then the negative of the wire to here. And yeah, look, I know it's not positive and negative. I know I'm just going to say hot and neutral, okay? I know that's probably better for AC terms, so I just want to make sure I'm not confusing nobody. But I don't have the best knowledge of life, specifically in AC electronics. But anyways, hot goes here, and then the neutral wire of the AC goes here. Looks like I'm going to have to use my cut the conductor, stretch out the cloth, and then heat it with a flame and twist it up in order to get through this O-ring right here. Got one right there when I was trying to get this conductor off right now. The outer sheath, I mean. It's super hard. This stuff is like, I don't know, it's from China, of course, and it just slices like butter. Like this sharp razor just like melted butter through it. But that should take care of all the cuts in the wire. As far as wiring, guys, I'm going to keep it to what I think is the American standard of black being hot, white being neutral, and then the ground I'm not going to need. I'm just going to cut off and tape off and not use. It will be a polarized. Well, will it be a polarized plug? Man, maybe I shouldn't do. Oh man. I guess it doesn't technically need to be, but yeah, I probably should get a polarized plug. That might have to be another day where I just come up and fix it with a polarized plug. I'll have to see what the other plug looks like. I'll show you when I get to it. Well, guys, that was incredibly more difficult than I should have had to make it. Unfortunately, who was it that said life is hard and it's harder if you're stupid? I think it was the great John Wayne. I can relate to that. Finally got the switching the right direction, off, high, and low. I was like going boom, 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 and then I move it like a quarter turn, it'd be like boom, 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 and then I would move it a quarter turn, and it would be like back again, boom, 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 and I did it like 15 times doing this thing. And now I gotta, one time I did it and it wasn't even switching at all. It was like a little weak, piddly switch. No good hard click like that. So I'm gonna do some insulation resistance testing, making sure that these coils are indeed separated. And then I think we can turn the power on and see what she does. So I got a lead on each of the 2 wires. Ground's not being used, and I've got it switched to an off position, and I got an open load. I believe I've forgotten which one was the higher resistance, the high winding or the low winding. I think the lower was high, but then I'm not really so sure. So 9.4. I think that's what we had before, and I think when I turned it to the low, it got more, like 16 or something like that. Yeah, so I really think I'll do an insulation resistance test just to finalize the work, to making sure that none of these coils are leaking the ground, which I would guess would be considered this chassis. And if it passes that, then we'll throw some power on her and see if the spacing is correct with the nylon washers. Again, guys, I'm not a pro at any of this, but what I believe this is testing is I put the black lead onto the chassis of the fan, essentially ground, And in the red lead on one of the coil windings, it shouldn't be having any resistance. Well, at least this is basically a mega ohm tester, so it should be very, very high resistance, if not on open load. I'm going to test it at 250 volts, which is what twice the fan is rated for. Oops. And we're showing an open load. We can test the tester. And yep, it's clear. So that lead looks good. These are high voltage. I don't like to play with these things, man, especially with you're doing with the capacitors that retain the charge. Alright, and again on the other winding we got open load there as well. So this is looking good electrically. Let's go ahead and put some power on her and see what she does. Well, I sure hope I can get this project completed soon because my bench is absolutely embarrassing. I plugged her in, normal grounded cord, so it should be correctly polarized. I got it on off right now. And I'm not even going to worry about putting in the, what you call it, that thingy right there, the isolation transformer. I'm just going to be careful what I touch. Alright, see, I had to give that a little bit of that's high and low. High, low. Alright, so it just wants to go back just a little bit longer, and it's kind of crusty. I wonder if we can figure out what to do there. And let's just try a nylon washer and see if that doesn't change anything. So I've added a nylon washer to the front as a thrust washer. We're gonna put it all back together. Alright, so I got them all finger tight. I thought I might try to tighten them down depending on how much it was shaking, you know. So a little bit loose here, huh? This is the one that always kept spinning. There's that bottom right. Let's try her again. Alright, so now she plugs. Now she turned on the first try, and I gotta admit, that's pretty dang quiet. I'm not seeing much of a change though. There you go. Yeah, now it's a change. Maybe I was just... Alright, I'm gonna maybe tighten these up a bit, see if I can get it to be a little bit less loud. Anyways, I'll do this and see what I can come up with, okay? I'm not really fully satisfied. It is starting now, but there is no play in this motor shaft right here, the rotor. So I'm gonna probably just take out one of the back washers on that side and see if it doesn't run any, see what happens basically. Again, just finger tight. I got one washer taken away from the back. Turn her on. No. Maybe put that washer in the front? Well, it's not tightened down, that's true. Let me not burn it out. Well, it seems like I might need to... Let me tighten it down just a bit, but I don't think that's it, guys. Alright, let me see what happens. Alright, they're all tightened down. Still nothing. Oh, now it's bundled up. Alright, nope, I'm gonna do it. Alright. Alright, I'm gonna put one more. Oy. I'm gonna put one more washer in the front, see what happens. Put one washer here, took off one from here, shifted everything backwards. Oh, you bastard. Well, good news and bad news. First of all, good news, it turns on. Bad news, A, I don't know if I wired my switch right. It might be low and then high, but I can just reverse it. That's fine. And then B, these ones, every time I try to screw them down, it binds the motor. So something's with the alignment of this bell housing. Something's, I don't know, maybe bent, something where it's difficult. And I think that's where I had success with the felt, was this is just such a small difference, but it was an important difference. Because look how quiet that is. And if I try to tighten these down, It gets louder and it binds it. I mean, maybe they're not supposed to be that tight. Because that works, right? That's on low. Oh no, that's on high, I'm sorry. High. Yeah, it's gotta be reversed. Alright, let me, oh crap, that means I have to mess with that damn switch again. Oh man, I don't want to do that. Oh man. Alright, well. Funny just to scratch out the low and high and write it in permanent marker, low and then high. That's what I would do. I'm gonna call that just as it is fixed. Don't tighten it up too much. Oh man, I hate to do the switch again, but I'm gonna have to. I'm gonna go ahead and take out the switch completely. Switch the low and the high wires. I don't know how I got that mixed up, but pretty sure I did. Oh, my table's a mess, guys. I'm gonna see if he uses any different amperage. It's 0.95, 0.1 in low, and then 1.3 in high. So maybe it's not. Maybe it is wired correctly. That's low. About 0.95 amps. High. 1.3 amps, which is what the motor is rated for. So maybe I'm not mistaken. I guess maybe I need to put a blade on it to see. We're almost at that point, eh? I think I'm going to use this blue grease. I don't know, sue me if it's not the right stuff. I think it's better than the red grease that I have. Put a blade on it. Get the fan cage on it. Oh my gosh, I think we're getting close, guys. I think we're getting close. This linkage, guys, by the way, if I can focus, I've always basically heard on the videos that I've watched that this screw right here is a left-handed screw. For me, it's not. It threads in right-handed wise. It doesn't thread in that great, so maybe it was a left-handed screw sometime in the past, but for me, mine is right-handed. Just want to show you with the oscillation working, guys. Now that this thing is greased and lubed, you just turn it to the left and it stops oscillating. You turn it to the right and tighten it, and it starts oscillating again. As far as how much grease, guys, I'm not really sure. I just put it in there to where it's pretty greasy. Seems like that's a pretty good amount. Maybe I'm wrong, but it seems like it's working fine. There she is. Sounds pretty quiet, you know. I'm kind of hoping I don't have to open her up, back up again. Here in the front, guys, I told you maybe in a couple videos or so ago, there's this cavity. Touching the tip of the screwdriver is the porous bronze bearing that's in the oil cap area, the bearing area. But forward of that, there's this cavity in which there's nothing here. It's probably up to here in diameter. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to fill it with some dry felt, just to keep, grime, dust, dirt, all that stuff out from getting into the bearing. I guess something like that. I don't know if that made it louder or not. Let's test. All right, let me take it off. All right, what do you think? No different. All right. Wish me luck getting this thing back into the cage. Well, it's not so hard to believe, but I cannot find my anti-seize. I was going to put some anti-seize on this this place where the shaft comes into the fan blade. as the next best thing, I'm just gonna put a very light coating of some silicone grease. Basically, is what this is. Good quality brake caliper lube, and that should at least go some way to prevent it from sticking together like it was, where I had to actually hammer it out. Ideally, I think NACs would probably be better. In fact, I think NACs is just like this stuff with metal and baby oil in it, mineral oil or something like that. I don't know. Anyways, I'm gonna see if that doesn't work with the just a small, tiny coating of grease and getting her all back together. I had some problems tightening this thing. I'm hoping that everything's again in line, where it's not messing up the motor housing. Well, you know what I'm saying, where it's buzzing and not starting and everything. But look, the fan blade moves. So let's turn it on high. Now, I think that sound is for tightening. Let me listen just a tad and see where we get. I think it was these inner nuts that need to be loosened. All right, so I've loosened every one of these silver housing steel bolts. Well, actually, what I did is I tightened them all the way, and then I backed off about, I don't know, half a turn, a little, just so it was it's pretty loose. And then I had already backed out these brass ones before I did that. And then I just basically, since these ones are a little bit loose, tiny bit, then I just tightened up these brass ones till they were tight on all four of them. See if that did anything. Oh, you frickin' caca. So I've got the fans very loose now. Not the fan, but these bolts right here. And I'm just gonna tighten them while the fan's running as best as I can, not to get my finger caught in this blade. Just enough so where it's still quiet like this, but it then, oh my gosh, this breeze is incredible. I still don't know what to do about the low. Yeah, I think it is low. Yeah, it is. It's wired right, guys. Hell yeah. That's a freaking big, whatchamacallit that I don't have to get done right now. But boy, this thing is moving some air. Oh my gosh. Well, it's just hard to, I tightened them a little bit, but it's just hard to argue with it. I might try to barely tighten those brass nuts, but it seems like everything's in place. It's quiet as it can be, and boy, is it blowing some nice air. So I think we're really coming to the end of this. Let me go get that plug I told you guys about, so show you, see what you think about that. All right, so I looked at the plug, and by golly, it's completely period. It's completely original, and therefore it doesn't have any polarized plug. And I just can't. I don't want to give somebody a non-polarized plug, and they plug it in wrong. The hot is not switched like it is. Oh man, it doesn't switch the hot. Yeah, these things were not made for safety back in the day, I don't think. Because if I remember correctly, the live was already live, and then the neutral was wired into the switch, which is probably how it was back in the radio days too. But I've got to make sure that it's all, positive is to the switch, and I guess it wouldn't matter, right? I guess I'm gonna have to call in a friend on that one. And by friend, I mean my genius father-in-law. All right. Well, I've gotten it pretty much to where it's starting every time. It's really reasonably quiet. I think what I'm going to do is back off these brass screws. I know when I tighten them too much, for some reason, it bogs down the motor. I have half a thought that I wanted to play with the, looking at the current on the oscilloscope and really fine-tuning it, but these things weren't built like that, so I'm just going to guess that it might be like a defect in the case. I don't know, but basically right now it seems to be good. I was thinking about backing off these brass acorn nuts, putting a little bit of Loctite on them, and then screwing them back to where they're basically quiet again. Everything's quiet again. That's I think my next step. Well, I don't know how good I'm going to get this thing, basically, because like I had it working on high, but when I turn it on low, it wouldn't turn at all. And then I had to loosen all of these steel washers, and again, now it's working again. It's still blowing a lot of cold air, and this is on high. So these are just kind of loose, and I'm just wondering if they should be. Maybe they just leave them like that. I did put some thread locker on it, so I'm hoping that that'll keep these brass acorn nuts in the same position. And maybe it's just I don't know, just doing what I'm doing, just tighten it micrometer by micrometer and trying to get it even on all sides. I still maintain that if I had felt like I had before, that I would be able to probably have an even quieter running fan, but I just don't know what if I want to do that because it wasn't in the original design, and this is all flush. Every one of these is flush, whereas before they weren't flush. And plus the felt, I don't know what kind of washers I was using, you know. Anyway, so I'm gonna just play with it some more, put the back end housing on, and I guess I'm gonna leave this plug as it is, cord extra long, and give it to him like this. I also have to put in the wall plate because he does want to have it mounted on his wall. Make sure everything works with that. And other than that, I think we're pretty good, man. We're getting close. Well, this is why you don't do it while the damn fan is running. That was a normal glass. I've never seen it crack like that before. Freak, man. I was trying to get this one tightened because it seemed like it was working, so I just tightened it a little bit. Then the wrench hit the fan, and let me tell you, everything else hit the fan at the same time. Oh man, I hope this project is good get finished sometime soon. Here's the wrench. Oh my gosh. I got my water dripping all over the floor and all over the stuff on the counter. Oh my gosh. I'm just not sure how loud this fan was to begin with. Should we mess with it more? Look at the current under the oscilloscope? Or should we just leave it, you know? I got it kind of coated down with a coat of CLP, clean, lubricate, and protect. And I lost my screwdriver. Try to throw here, just put it on oscillate again. Fuck, Rick, man. Oh my gosh. Well, that was a bad. Frick. I don't know what happened. Golly, man. Well, what do you think? Like, it didn't hit the side of this. What the hell happened to it? What the fuck? All right, well. I know that I have ways to improve, you know, like as far as keeping things clean and neat, tidy, etc. But then again, I think it's like sometimes you just work on these projects, guys, and it's just like, you know, it just sometimes they just go south, you know. Sometimes, like, you know what, you just try to do your best job, the easiest, like the best job, man. You put a lot of effort. All right. Well, let's see if we can find one of these. It's a 16-inch blade. I'm not in love with this fan anymore, guys. I'm not in love with this fan. Yeah, so I'm just kind of disgusted right now. I think what happened was that when it hit the wrench, I think it caused a fracture in that metal. It didn't hit this right here. It looked like it might have, but it didn't. I think it was just the pot metal caused a fracture, and then the centripetal force, or whatever you call that, of it running just kind of the vibration got it out of line, and it just fractured. And I was just, you know, I guess I'm just going to just try to drop it because I'm just going to get upset. But I was hoping to have this ready for him today and go take it to him tomorrow. I even have, I bought a 1920s Robbins and Myers fan ad on the internet on eBay out of the Saturday Evening Post out of 1923, like a perfect ad. And it showed a fan very similar, you know, a little bit older than that, but still very similar. And I wanted to give it to him because this gentleman really appreciates that kind of Americana. So I really can't underestimate the disappointment, I guess how disappointed I am. I mean, what are you going to do, Matt? Get mad at yourself? I do, but unfortunately, that's probably not the right answer. You know, you learn, right? You learn. Just unfortunate. So I guess I'm gonna look for one and see what I can find. And my God, I don't know. Maybe just give it to him without the fan blade, and just hopefully find a fan blade in the future. This is ridiculous, man. I'm just sad. So I've got in the car right now. I'm picking up my boys. There's one fan available on eBay. It was a later fan model than this. It had a 3-speed motor as well as a capacitor. And the models, the serial numbers are not the same. And so I'm not sure if, it's even worth it to buy that fan. It's $80 plus $40 shipping. It's what is that, $20? I'm just really, 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 I mean, I'd like to say that I'm not mad at myself, but I looked at the video again and I think it was exactly what my stupid fault. I had it oscillating and then it caught the edge of that parts cleaner. Stupid mistake, man, with that pot metal. And now I got to basically, take his grandpa's fan back in pieces after all the money and not the money. I don't care about, I mean, I can earn more money, but the stupid frickin' love and care that I put into the damn thing, It's like, what, man? What is that? It's just like, I guess that's what life is, you just got to move on and learn from your mistakes. I need to be more tidy. I need to, be more careful. Have a freaking cleared table before you turn on the dang fan and oscillate it. I don't know. This video is not going to really make much use, but I'm just saying, I don't know if I should buy this other fan. I'm going to go home and look at the pictures once I get the boys home, and if it looks like a similar fan blade, I might get it. Might put in a note at there's this Facebook group that's for fans, and I might put in a note seeing if anybody has one, but I doubt it. It's just dumb, and I'm really frustrated and upset. What do you do? I wish I was, the product of what I produced was good, is really kind of what I'm trying to say. Is like, I wish I produced good products. As much as care and in my life I try to make things work and be good to people and all that, you know what I'm saying? Sometimes it just seems like I'm making the wrong choices, and I'm like, well, you know what, dude? I'm tired, man. I'm tired. And I don't have a lot of time. I got to go back to Richmond tomorrow, and I'm like, not to mention the stuff I got to do around the house. I'm just not happy. And that's my own fault. I'm like, well, fuck. Alright, sorry for cussing.